Hello, hello, hello. John Mason again. How is everybody? I hope we're getting ready to enjoy the spring at last. It's raining right now in Philadelphia, but spring is here, and my street tree outside is being watered. That's fine. And I'm continuing my little bit to resist the agenda. And I just want to say a few words about the idea of conventional wisdom. I have been reading lately the work by John Kenneth Galbraith, The Affluent Society, where he expounds the notion of the conventional wisdom, that is, his words for the ideas that have been passed on one generation after the other and never been questioned, accepted as fact. And new data, new information, new events arise that contradict the conventional wisdom, but we are stuck with it anyway. We feel like we have no choice but to continue to believe the conventional wisdom, because this is what we've been thinking all along, and we believe that these respectable people believe the conventional wisdom. So we have no choice but to believe it. It's always a blessing, though, to have a mind of your own to think and to question the so-called conventional wisdom and realize it's not always so wise. Case in point, the idea of marijuana being bad for you. I have come to the conclusion that the marijuana has to be legalized. It is not the same as such drugs as cocaine and heroin, methamphetamines. It is not the gateway drug, and therefore it must be legalized, but taxed and regulated as are alcohol and tobacco. You don't let underage kids consume alcohol or tobacco, neither do you allow underage kids to consume marijuana. And you can sell it at marijuana licensed places, or in Pennsylvania state liquor stores. It would be a wonderful source of tax revenue. It's worked very well in Oregon and Colorado, and Washington State and Alaska. And I look forward to when Pennsylvania gets in on it. And how did it become that marijuana became illegal? There have been many scare stories about marijuana being this demon weed based on racism. One way is the head of the Bureau of Narcotics, Harry Anslinger, wanting to find a drug that could scare the people and support funding for his agency. And lo and behold, he hits upon marijuana because it's associated with Mexicans, and the racism factor against Mexicans help to continue the scare. Same with William Randolph Hearst. Hearst, the publisher from back in the day, the originator of what we call yellow journalism, sensationalistic journalism. He was the Rupert Murdoch of his day. Hearst was heavily invested in wood pulp for printing paper for his newspapers, and he feared competition from a hemp-based paper. Hemp is a great source of making paper and rope and clothing and all sorts of ink and all other things. And as part of to maintain the monopoly of wood pulp, which he was invested in, like I said, he also joined in the scare against African American jazz musicians smoking marijuana and doing all kind of crazy stuff with white women, etc. And for decades, we have accepted as gospel, conventional wisdom, the idea of marijuana being this terrible thing, this terrible scourge. And I too bought into it as a kid. I no longer buy into it myself anymore. And now I advocate legalizing marijuana. One other thing, piece of conventional wisdom that Galbraith points out is the idea of just allowing the free enterprise system, quote unquote, to work its magic. Just leave the capitalists alone to do their capitalist thing of investing money, and everything will flourish. Well, we know how well that has worked out. Not. We have seen hedge funds, investors transfer the operations of plants, closing down plants in this country and transferring operations to either states that have low wages and which happen to have weak unions, low wages, or either outside the country altogether, like Vietnam or Mexico or China or Bangladesh. And therefore, a whole factories are shut down, workers are unemployed, communities are bereft of money, municipal governments can't afford libraries or police or fire services, schools, etc. And technological innovation can't merely be left to the capitalists. As Galbraith pointed out, while in the late 1950s, while American corporations were cranking out new automobiles, new refrigerators, for the sake of producing more consumer goods for sale, so everybody can have a job, and who doesn't need a job. The Soviet Union, with a smaller gross domestic product, concentrated its resources to develop the Sputnik, the space satellite that circumvented the Earth, therefore instigating the space race. And they were supposedly be this technologically backward nation that can't even make a decent tractor. And here they are, being technologically advanced enough to send a satellite into space, and then a monkey, then a dog, then a human being. While we were still producing radios and cars and TVs and refrigerators, etc. Case in point, I don't worship government. Don't get me wrong. I'm not in awe of it. I'm not in awe of our elected officials. Certainly not certain elected officials along Pennsylvania Avenue. But my point is, a certain amount of government intervention does affect the economy positively. But mostly it's for defense purposes. It is through defense spending, like for immediate war production, that we have had such things as radar developed, and also nylon and instant coffee and the Jeep. Originally comes from the phrase GP, general purpose, which is now very popular among the civilian population, and also the Internet, which originated, I believe, late in the 60s as an alternative communication system for the Pentagon, in case, God forbid, in a nuclear war, regular communications were cut off. And now everybody's got a computer. I mean, just about everybody. And look at me. But my point is, the conventional wisdom needs to be challenged. And if the conventional wisdom works, hey, let's keep it. If it doesn't, discard it. Okay? Thank you. Goodbye.